did you use a business plan when you started the business 5 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So the business plan was a little bit different to the conventional business plan. I guess, particularly from an accounting and finance perspective, the most important aspect of the business plan was the cash flow projections. And in simple terms, the cash flow projections were how much is this business going to cost us to set up, and what sort of turnover is it going to do, and what are the costs going to be, or the expenses as we're running the business. So effectively, how much money do we need up front, which was quite, with a little bit of research and thinking outside the box, you can get pretty accurate as far as projecting the setup costs. The revenue is the hard one to project and predict, the projected turnover. But again, through a little bit of savvy investigating, looking at some competitors, direct competitors and indirect competitors, you could sort of ballpark what, if the execution was good, what you were likely to turn over. We did things like walked up the street and asked the people at the Spud Bar how many spuds they sold a day, and from that we could work out what the Spud Bar was turning over. Or you make friends with a guy selling pizzas around the corner and he'd tell you how many pizzas he does a day. So you can sort of project the turnover. And then the expenses were basically projected pretty much as a percentage of the turnover. So we knew that about 30% of our costs were going to be labour, and about 30% of our costs were going to be the cost of the actual raw produce. We knew 5 to 10% of our costs were going to be rent. So the really tricky one in there is projecting your revenue, and if you can get accurate with your revenue projections, the cost projections are usually pretty easy to work out. That's sort of the numbers side of things. I guess business planning from a product and a brand side of things, which is a little bit more creative and a little bit more fluffy, which I really enjoyed, is just ensuring that you actually have a product that people want. And for us, the key theme for that process was about getting feedback and collaborating with focus groups. I think a lot of business founders go wrong in the sense that they feel that their idea has to be their idea that they've come up with. Whereas we took an approach where we were essentially looking as a base model of an idea that we saw overseas, so we weren't necessarily inventing anything. And I'm a big advocate for not feeling like you have to invent something. But then even as that base model of a business and a product and a brand evolved, we got a lot of people involved with focus groups, product testing. We tested the name, we tested the colours, we tested every menu item a number of times. And so we knew that at the end we'd taken a lot of a risk, and I think business planning is really just about de-risking the whole venture so that there's as fewer question marks and fewer uncertainties as possible. We knew at the end of that process that we had a product that people liked. We knew what people were prepared to pay. We knew we had a name and a brand that resonated with people. So that combined with a lot of the cash flow projections, we actually didn't feel that we were taking too big a risk in embarking on the venture.
So it sounds like you put a lot of effort into that business plan. Has it been changed much since it was created?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the core of the product and the core of the brand hasn't changed much. We, fortunately for us, we totally misprojected our revenue, but we were far sort of south of what we're actually at. So the business is per restaurant, the biggest is a much bigger business than we projected, which also means there's bigger costs as well. So that's really changed the nature of the business, the level of infrastructure and systems and processes we require to operate the business successfully is certainly at a higher level, simply because the business is a bigger business than we initially thought it would be.